Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Kent, and thank you for joining us for the 2019 Oregon Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Very excited, lovely group tonight. Like I said, hopefully everybody had a good time catching up with friends in the library, and it's safe to say much of the talk dealt with sharing stories of the great ones in Oregon sports history. Well, tonight's going to be a very special night. The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame recognizes and honors Oregon's rich athletic history through our museum, and here tonight, our 39th annual induction ceremony. The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame's goal is to inspire participation in sport and foster awareness of the values and lifelong rewards gained from this participation. Tonight, we have many examples to share. Each year's induction class is voted on by Sports Hall of Fame members to be the best of Oregon athletes, teams, coaches, and also those who have made a special lifetime contribution to Oregon sports. Now, anyone can be a member of the Sports Hall of Fame and vote. We actually encourage that, so you can go to oregonsportshall.org and see how. Now, tonight we are proud to welcome and induct this year's class. With tonight's inductions, we now have over 400, that's right, 400 outstanding athletes inducted in the Hall. We look forward to reliving and applauding the accomplishments of these 6 new members who add their legacy to Oregon's great ones. This year's induction will take place right after dinner. Until then, we have some special moments to enjoy. So right now, it's my honor to now introduce the president of the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. He's a multiple national champion in the modern pentathlon and the highest scoring American in the 1972 Olympics. A 2009 Hall of Fame inductee himself, please welcome Chuck Richards.
Good to see you,
Chuck, great seeing you as well, too.
I have to raise the mic, or maybe lower the mic. Jordan's a little bit taller than I am. Jordan last year took a handoff from Bill Schonley. Bill is not with us this evening, but I wonder, this is being filmed and will be shown later, so I wonder if you could all say hello to Bill, because he's been here 24 years as our MC. And so will you say hello, Bill? And he will enjoy that for sure. And as Jordan said, welcome to our 39th. Next year will, of course, be the 40th, but also it'll be the 50th year. You might look at the logo on the back of your program for the Blazers. It shows their 50-year anniversary logo, and we're going to have some special events that incorporated here in our induction ceremony with them. And they are a longtime sponsor of the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. A special welcome tonight to the inductees that will be inducted tonight, as well as the scholarship winners. And I understand there's a number of legacy Hall of Fame inductees that have been inducted in many years in the past that are with us this evening, and I saw a few of you around in the crowd. So welcome to this evening's induction ceremony, for sure. I want to introduce some of our board members that are here tonight. Mike Rose is our chair of the induction ceremony. Mike, you stand up and just kind of wave a minute. There he is in the back. Drew Mahalik is in the back too, selection committee, along with Blake Herring, co-chair of the selection committee. Blake. Greg Hitchcock here. I didn't see him. There he is. Hi, Greg. He keeps a close watch on Mike's wallet and the treasury of the Hall of Fame, which is nice. I don't think George Graves and Ray Hutchison are with us. Jack Elder is with us as a loaned executive and our curator, and Jack, right over there. And I might say that he is in charge of our exhibits, and at 4840 Southwest Western Avenue out in Beaverton, a lot of the Hall of Fame exhibits are now available to take a look at, and thank you, Jack, for making that possible in his organization. So it's pretty terrific work that he's certainly done. Paul Alati is here, and he heads up our scholarship committee, the McTarnahan Scholarship Committee, and there's Scott, and so he'll be on board later. Jeff Schrum, I think he's behind the wall. He's our media and PR person and does a great job with the audio video that we will have this evening. And I believe that covers that. And I wanted to take just a couple minutes. I have a personal connection to two of the inductees tonight. The personal connection, I happen to be in the right spot at the right time. So for Kenny Moore, who's out here somewhere about to be inducted, I was there when you came across the finish line at the Olympics in '72. I was a spectator in the stands, watched you come across, watched Frank Shorter come across, unfortunately a little bit ahead of you, and Jack Batchelor a little bit behind you. But it's pretty terrific performance, 1, 4, and 9 in the marathon, which we'd really not done well in at all. And what I didn't realize what the impact of that was having on the United States back home with the media feed, television feed. And at that time, marathons were done pretty much by serious runners. After that time, with the help of the jogging book written by Bill Bowerman, marathoning, fun runs, 10Ks exploded in the world and the United States. And it's really because of that '72 experience, it's just that exposure. And the Earth's axis changed a little bit in terms of running. So Kenny, you had a big part in that wherever you are out there. And I also had a ticket as a spectator in 1975 to, I think it's probably referenced in the brochure, but I was one of the 33,000 people sitting in the seats for the soccer game. It was, I believe, in August, and I was in what was then center field of Civic Stadium, because it was configured as a baseball stadium back then, and in bleachers. And the Timbers, congratulations, you won that game, and it was really exciting. But what I really remember is looking down, and I was pretty high, like the 40th row or something up there, and thinking, wow, I hope the steel structure that are holding these bleachers up hold, because it's a long way to the ground. This is a big crowd. So 33,000 was pretty special. And having the Timbers that summer, the Cosmos came to town, Pele and Beckenbauer and some other national or international celebrities in soccer. It was quite an event. Same thing, an era kind of started that wasn't there before. I mean, there's a lot of enthusiasm for soccer, but after that summer, it was Soccer City, USA, is what Portland's moniker for Portland became. And, it just changed the world. So you Timbers and Harry Merlo that owned the team, you made a huge difference here. And it continues to today. Look at the Thorns and the Timbers and University of Portland, et cetera. So congratulations all. Enjoy the evening. And I want to say also, because I talked to him earlier, Mouse is an inductee, longtime football coach, Mouse Davis. A lot of you probably know him. Mouse is standing up right now. But he was the funniest guy ever on the induction ceremony in terms of his response to Bill Schonely. It was terrific. So good to see you, Mouse. And anyway, welcome this evening. And Jordan, good to see you again. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that. Now, obviously, tonight would not be possible without the help of some of our sponsors. And so we would just want to give a big thank you to all of our sponsors this evening. The Portland Trail Blazers, celebrating their 50th anniversary season. Standard TV and Appliance. Our great media partner, KGW TV. The Oregonian Media Group. Sunset Athletic Club. Sport Oregon. And the Oregon Center for Sports and Recreation. Give it up for our sponsors here. They make it possible. They also get the premier seating here as well, too. So that's a benefit of being a sponsor as well, too. And speaking of those Portland Trail Blazers, the Sports Hall of Fame recently had a very special visitor. Let's take a look.
Wow, Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. What more could you ask for in life? All the sports, all the guys. Look, there's Lewis and Clark. How fun is this? Special contributions, Gert and Tim Boyle, Columbia Sportswear, how they came when I first got here. They were so nice. They just cold called me. They said, Bill, this is not gonna work. Every picture we see of you, you're in a tank top, cut off jeans, and sandals. You better get in here and let us fix you up.
On the left, the
Jack
wall there.
Ramsey,
There you go.
all right. Oh my gosh, this is just fantastic. Please, Jack, heal me, teach me, show me the right thing to do. I've done a lot of things in that court. What a spectacular place, man. I used to be able to run. Yeah, come on, get him, finish. Oregon, yes. So I've now become a baseball broadcaster. And I carry this around with me all the time. Batter up, let's go. You're out of here. Bobby took my spot, man. Look at this, how cool. All the guys, Terry, Buck, Clyde, Bobby Dorr. Oh my gosh. Come on now, let's go. Oh gosh.
And your left hip. How's your left hip, by the way?
After you fixed it, I'm doing much better.
Okay.
Now look, when I cut back door, you gotta give me the ball, okay? Enough of the ball fake, right? I'm wide open, please. And now, if you just keep this elbow up a little bit higher, yeah, that'll keep the guy from coming right in. And maybe trim the hair a little. What are you thinking? I'm the luckiest guy on earth. I am a man of Oregon. I am a Portland Trailblazer. Trailblazers for life. Rip City.
The best part about that is we had 17 hours of footage that we had to cut down to that short little video. So Bill always giving us a lot of content right there. Now, a program the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is proud to be a part of again this year is the special recognition of Oregon high school student athletes. Each of our deserving students honored tonight will receive $3,000 to be used at an Oregon college or university. We are happy to be awarding 6 of these scholarships. As in years past, Portland's McTarnahan family has generously underwritten our scholarships. To help present the high school scholarship winners, please welcome Hall of Fame Scholarship Chairman Paul Lottie and Scott McTarnahan.
Thank you, Gordon.
You're welcome.
All right, well, thank you, Jordan. Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul Alati, and as the Vice President of the Board and Scholarship Chairman of the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame and the museum, I warmly welcome everyone here tonight, so thank you. And thank you for all your support. First, I want to thank the man, Scott McTarnahan, and the entire McTarnahan family. We couldn't do what we do with our scholarship program without them. Their generosity is phenomenal, the donations, all the years we've been doing this, the contribution. Scott is our scholarship co-chairman, very influential on our committee in helping to select our fantastic winners that are in the back that you'll meet here in a few minutes. Every year, Scott and his family and the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame funds 6 different scholarships, 3 boys, 3 girls. You have to go to an Oregon school, a high school, and then attend a college in Oregon as well to be to apply for our scholarship. Our athletes and our people that apply are the top of the high school seniors. They excel in all athletics, academics, community service, and our winners of this scholarship are the very best of the best. So congratulations to all of them, and thank you so much to Scott McTarnahan and the McTarnahan family for all they do for our scholarships. And with that, let's give them a round of applause real quick. And with that, Scott's going to say a few words tonight, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Well, these guys always require me to say something, so I don't have a prepared speech or a teleprompter full of words. I guess I'd like to relate an experience I had to you that has a direct relationship to the scholarship program through the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. Every generation that comes up in this country is different than the one before it. They have different manners of speaking and different clothes they like to wear, different entertainers they like to follow, different expressions and words that they use. And I don't say the older generation, I'll say the mature generation sometimes wonders, are these guys going to cut it? This is our future here. Are they going to be able to take over and keep going? And sometimes you can get caught in a trap where a very, very small percentage of the young kids coming up make mistakes, and sometimes tragic ones, as we've alluded to. And that's what makes the news. That's what those headlines sell the papers. Those events are what you see on the news. And you don't want to get caught in that trap door of thinking, this generation coming up is not going to be able to cut it. They won't do what we did or what our fathers and grandfathers did. And totally wrong. If any of you that have ever fallen into that trap could be on our scholarship committee and read the applications that we get from these fine young men and women, you'd realize there's a plethora of fantastic young people out there that nose to the stone, hardworking, dedicated. They achieve great scholastic success, and they all participate in fitness and sports, which helps build character. But most importantly, they volunteer their time and their efforts to help their community. And these are the people in the future that are going to be running companies that create new products that make life better and easier for all of us. They're going to be the people in the medical field that find new ways to cure things and new pharmaceuticals to alleviate stuff and probably eliminate some of the maladies that we have to suffer through today. And so when I catch myself wondering, gee, are these guys going to be up to the mark? I have to realize that, yes, the future of this country isn't going to be in their hands. And they're very capable hands, because if any of you could be on our scholarship committee with John and Paul and Charlie and me, you would realize that we don't have anything to worry about. These are fantastic young men and women that are going to score higher than any of us ever got to. They're going to know much more. They're going to accomplish much more. They're going to be business leaders that create new companies, that create new products, that expand job opportunities. They're going to be in the medical field where they come up with new procedures and new pharmaceuticals that help us. And they're going to be people that you would say, I'm fortunate to do business with. I'm lucky to be their neighbor, and I'm honored to call them one of my friends. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott. As I announce each scholar athlete, please come up to the stage for your award. And Scott, would you be so kind as to hand them their plaque as well, too, when they come on up here? Our first scholarship winner is Brinley O'Neill. Brinley attended North Medford High School and graduated with a 3.6 GPA. She was a three-sport athlete and earned all conference awards multiple years in soccer. She gave her time to multiple charitable events throughout her high school career and is attending Oregon State University to earn a degree in business. No. Thank you, Brinley. Go ahead and stand over there here for me, please. Our second scholarship recipient is Martin Heredia. Martin graduated from Hermiston High School with a 3.13 GPA and varsity letters in both cross country and track. He earned various leadership awards, primarily due to his multi-year tenure as president of the College Savings Group at Hermiston. He is attending Eastern Oregon University, where he will pursue a degree in education. Veronica Alvarez Frias from Riverside High School in Boardman is our next scholarship winner. Veronica graduated from Riverside, where she earned a 3.8 GPA. She was a member of the varsity cheerleading squad all 4 years and was a dedicated volunteer to Red Cross blood drives throughout her high school years. She is also attending Eastern Oregon University. Up next is Zach Folsom from Sheldon High School. Zach graduated with a 3.89 GPA while playing sports year-round and working part-time jobs. He was captain of his football team during his senior year and received 2 All-League awards and a second-team All-State award. He is enrolled at Portland State University, where he will be playing football and earning a degree in mechanical engineering. Congratulations. It's our 39th year doing this celebration ceremony here, and I think this is a first. Our next scholarship winner is Jack Folsom, Zach's twin brother, also from Sheldon High School. Jack played various sports in high school while earning a 3.67 GPA. He was awarded an All-League and an All-State nomination in football during his senior year. In addition to his sports, schoolwork, and community service, he worked part-time jobs to help his family. Jack has enrolled at Oregon State University, where he will be pursuing a major in business and a minor in computer science. Do you guys still sleep in bunk beds? No bunk beds. Okay, no, I thought top GPA gets the top bunk here. All right, and finally, let's hear it for Paige Baker from South Eugene High School. Paige graduated with a very impressive 3.7 GPA while playing volleyball and softball. She worked part-time and spent many hours volunteering as a coach and counselor at various youth sports camps. She is attending the University of Oregon, where she will pursue her dream of becoming a psychologist to help child victims of abuse. Unfortunately, Paige cannot be with us tonight, but let's give her a round of applause. Let's go ahead and get a photo of our scholarship recipients and give them one more round of applause here. And again, we extend a huge thank you to the McTarnahan family for their generosity and the 2019 Scholarship Committee for their efforts as well. We've got a wonderful 2019 class that we're going to get a chance to induct here in just a moment, but our goal is for this legacy to inspire participation in sport and foster awareness of the values and lifelong rewards gained from this participation. The achievements and honor of those named to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame will be recognized beyond induction night. These commemorative hats, I'm a new dad, I can appreciate a dad hat like this, will be presented to all inductees. We will make it known on our website how past inductees can also get theirs as well too. That's at OregonSportsHall.org. But right now, let's recognize Olympians and inductees from past classes with us here tonight. And let's begin with our former Olympians. From the 1948 Olympics, please stand when I call your name. Clem Aishun. And please stay standing. And then a two-time Olympian from the 1976 and 1980 Olympics, Cindy Jensen. Give it up one more time for our 2 Olympic athletes in attendance. Now we have plenty of former inductees here, nearly 40 of them here tonight. So when I call your name, please raise your hand and we'll give you guys a round of applause at the end here. Barry Adams, Jim Anderson, Terry Baker, Robert Baldwin, Brian Barnes, Wade Bell, Mouse Davis, Mike Doherty, Jack Dunn, Jack Elder, E.D. Fredenberg, Dr. Ed Grossenbacher, Pudgy Hunt, Ken Jernstad, Nate Jones, David Coffery, Ray Lampkin Jr., Tom Levac, Neil Lomax, Gorham Nickel, Jim Nielsen, Steve Priest, Mel Renfro, Chuck Richards, Nick Robertson, Jack Rust, Ad Rushman, Charlie Sitton, and Gary Zeke. Give it up for all of our inductees in attendance tonight. All of the inductees from the past classes, thank you so much again for being here. You make this Hall of Fame the truly special Hall of Fame that it is, and it is now time to welcome more of the best. This class of 2019 now take their seats with you, the great ones in Oregon athletics. This class is a group of exceptional individuals and teams. Tonight's inductees were selected through a lengthy process of membership nomination and voting, followed by review and consideration of the selection committee and board of directors. They have earned their place in this state's Sports Hall of Fame as Oregon's finest. Thank you, inductees. Once again, let's give it up for all of our inductees in attendance. We begin tonight's inductions with a phenomenal athlete who definitely earned the name Fearless.
You can stop me if you've heard this story before. 20 years ago, a young woman walks into a boxing gym for the first time and ends up a world champion and a mentor to a new generation of fighters. It's all true. Molly McConnell rode her natural talent and work ethic to the top of women's boxing, and it all started in one of Portland's historic venues. It was 1999, Molly joined a Boxing for Fitness program at the Grand Avenue Gym, a hotbed of the sport. It didn't take long for trainer Ron Woodward to notice her skills and style. With a little coaching and encouragement, McConnell began her amateur career and quickly rose to capture the Oregon and Washington Golden Gloves championships. Molly knew how to punch with power with both hands and drew the attention of more quality coaches. Bill Mertz began to train her at the West Portland Boxing Gym, along with the well-regarded coach Leonard Trigg. Molly quickly earned the nickname Fearless, and that's when her career really took off. Just 3 years after putting on the gloves, Molly won the National Golden Gloves Championship, the first Oregon boxer, man or woman, to win a national title in 18 years. By the end of 2003, McConnell had won 4 national amateur titles. She was the top-ranked welterweight for 2 years in a row. Next came the transition to the professional ranks. Molly worked her way up the ladder in junior welterweight class. That journey culminated with 2 world championships in 2011. McConnell retired after 64 fights and now runs her own gym. McConnell Boxing Academy trains boxers, MMA fighters, and fitness enthusiasts. Her longtime coach, Leonard Trigg, is part of her staff. Molly always considered herself an excellent boxer, but now sees herself as an even better teacher. Oregon's only professional female world boxing champion, Molly McConnell, is welcome to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Molly, please. Holly, congratulations. And I just have to ask you right off the top, what does this moment mean to you right now?
I'm a little overwhelmed, to be honest. I'm not sure it's really sunk in, but I'm really honored to be here.
Now, you take a look at how you got started in boxing. What was it about the sport that just clicked for you? Why did you fall in love with it?
That's a good question. I think boxing is something that kind of finds you. I kind of stumbled into it, and I think it was one of those things right away I knew that this was something I wanted to pursue. It's a sport that's not for everyone, but when it's for you, it's really for you. So I think that weeds people out pretty quickly. So right away I knew that that was what I wanted to do.
Now, it takes a lot of hard work to not just be a boxer, but to be a successful one. Was there anybody that really gave you the blueprint for how hard you needed to work or set that example for you to show you this is what you have to put in to get out of it, what you hope to get out of it?
Well, I think I was so fortunate because right away, walking into a gym, finding the right trainer can be a really tricky prospect. And I happened to come into contact with a man named Ron Woodward right away, who became my trainer, not only that, but my friend and mentor over 20 years. He was with me from beginning to end. And one of my coaches is here tonight, Leonard Trigg. So those two, without those two men in my life, I wouldn't be sitting here.
And that's such a good point you bring up, because it seems like the trainer is so much more than just, here's the technique you need to practice. There's so much more. You mentioned friend, mentor. What else can you say in regards to what they meant to you outside of the ring?
That's a hard question to answer. It's now that I coach now, and there's some people that you just naturally have a connection with. I think that can be difficult to find with a coach and an athlete, but with both of those guys, that happened right away. So I am super grateful in terms of the boxing portion of it, but also just knowing them as people and what that's done made me a better person. And Ron passed away a couple of years ago, but Leonard is someone that I hope to have in my life always. So.
You oftentimes hear the term, when someone faces adversity, they've got to pick themselves up off the canvas. When you look at your career...
It's not fun.
No. Was there a moment in your career that you really had to dig deep and, for lack of a better term, pick yourself up off the canvas? When you look at all the success you had, I'm sure there's a lot of adversity you had to get over too.
Yeah, especially being a woman and you know, there's fewer women who box, obviously, and when I started, there was even less. So just the business part of boxing is really difficult to navigate. It's something I had to learn as I went along, and I learned a lot about that. As far as fighting goes, probably the biggest adversity I had during a match was breaking my hand in a fight about 5 rounds into 10 rounds. So that's just something that you have to either decide you're going to get through or not. But yeah, my career is 16 years of competitive boxing, tons of ups and downs, but it was, you know, in hindsight, all of it was worth it, so.
As a coach, what are you hoping to pass on to the athletes and the boxers that you work with? What are you hoping that they get out of their time and experience with you?
I think my biggest, the biggest thing that I want to do as a coach is to help people achieve what they want. I think a lot of coaches have kind of an attitude that I want to make champions. I'm not necessarily in it for that reason. If I have people who have that as a goal, I'll certainly help them. But, you know, most people will never reach that, you know, level. So I think helping people with their self-esteem and things like that is just as important. So for me, it really depends on the individual person and who we're working with and what they need. That's what I want to give them.
And you mentioned something there about boxing giving self-esteem to people and what the sport can do for individuals. What did it do for you now that you reflect on your time and your career competing in the ring? How did that change you?
Boy, that's tough.
It's my job to ask the tough questions. I know.
It's good.
That's what they signed me up for.
I mean, there's so much over that period of time. I think when I look back on my career, you incrementally kind of set goals for yourself. I didn't start out thinking, oh, I want to do this, thing at the end, but once you reach a goal, then you set a new goal. And so that process of going through that and having hiccups along the way, I think that teaches you a lot. Looking back on it now that it's all done, I realized that I have a wall in our gym that is full of belts. And the thing that I take away from my career the most isn't that stuff, which I always thought it would be, but it's the time spent with the people, the coaches, my training partners. Those are the things that I remember, and that's really the important part. It sounds corny to say it's the journey, but it really, at 47 now, I can look back on that and think that's actually true.
Well, you have a remarkable journey, and there's a lot of things that you got out of the sport, but a big reason why you're sitting up here tonight is the fact you won a world championship. And I always love sitting down and talking to athletes about what that moment was for them when they reached the top and they achieved that goal in their sport that they're really seeking. What was that moment like for you when you reflect on winning that world championship?
Honestly, part of it was relief. We had worked so hard and had so many kind of close calls with opportunities like that. And those spots for world title fights, when you're female, you really have to fight to get those spots and those opportunities on cards. So we had a lot of kind of false starts with that. But to get to that point, I think it was just relief. It was almost like I had trained pretty much consistently with no break for 15 years. So to have that, it was almost like, oh, I can take a minute and try to enjoy this a little bit. But yeah, it was obviously happiness and all that, but I think mostly I just felt like finally, after all this time, we got the opportunity to do that.
Well, it's a remarkable story. You are a trailblazer in your own right as far as what you have meant to this state, so congratulations once again.
Thank you so much.
We do have an audience question, and that's something that we're doing new this year, that when you signed in here, you had a chance to ask a question of any of our inductees. And so our question here was, if you could box anybody, past, present, who would you like to step in the ring with?
Well,
Present company not included.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I think if it was a woman, I would probably say Layla Ali, only because different weight classes, we're doing a fantasy pound for pound. She was a good boxer, but I also feel like because of who she was, she kind of skipped ahead in line a little bit. So I think that's something that, that would be pretty fun. Gosh, I don't know. If I had to choose a man, I would say probably Miguel Cotto, only because he's one of my favorites. I wouldn't want to actually do it because
Sure.
it would be horrible for me, but yeah, that would probably be who I'd pick.
All right, well, Molly, congratulations.
Thank you
We
so
do have a
much.
special guest here. At this time, from the induction class of 2002, another great boxer, Lightning Ray Lampkin Jr. Please come up to the podium. Molly, let's stand and join him here.
Congratulate you on all your accomplishments through the sweat and sacrifices in order to win awards and championships. It is my honor to welcome you into the Oregon Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ray.
Thank
Thank you very much.
you. Sorry about
So, Ray, if you want to do me a favor, she has a plaque right over there, his first silver plaque. Why don't you go ahead and hand that to her?
Oop.
The great Ray Lampkin Jr.
Thank you.
handing off the commemorative plate to Molly McConnell, our newest member
Nice.
of the 2019 Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
And Molly, don't forget, you're part of the Hat Crew now.
Thank you.
All right, give it up one more time for Molly and Ray. Ray, thank you so much.
That all
No, you're good, you're good. Our next inductee is well known for his love of football, his knowledge of the sport in Oregon, is simply astounding.
Bob Gill had an early love for football, but it wasn't until his 1953 senior season at Jefferson High School that he excelled. As Tom DeSilvia's first quarterback, Bob had an all-star season as the play caller and passer. It earned him a Shrine Game selection and a football scholarship to Oregon State. After a short freshman season, head coach Kip Taylor was fired, and that left Bob to focus on his pre-dental studies. Football was not quite over. When a young Portland State team came calling for a quarterback, Bob played for the Vikings for one season. We honor Bob tonight for his special contributions to Oregon sports and this event. In 1987, Bob Gill became a board member for the State of Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. He worked with director Stan Link and discovered his great interest in sports history. For 6 years, he was the chairman of the selection committee. Bob's research led to the publication of It's in Their Blood, a history of 53 Oregon football coaches. For 40 years, Bob believed in the National Football Foundation's Scholar Athlete Program. As a historian, Bob successfully nominated Tommy Prothro, Neil Lomax, and Ad Rutschman into the NFF College Hall of Fame. For 14 years, he presented the Walk of Champions Award to champion high school coaches. In 1998, Bob Gill provided the early leadership to return the North-South All-Star football game to Portland. With help from coaches and Neil Lomax's company, Promax, they established the Les Schwab Bowl. Bob created and presented the MVP trophy, the George Shaw Award, for 20 years. In 1975, Bob's creativity helped create Portland State's top football trophy. The Chuck Withers Award is given annually at their banquet. In 2010, Bob offered to write the story of Oregon and NFL legend Mel Renfro. After 5 years of research and writing, the biography Mel Renfro, Forever a Cowboy, was finished. Bob dedicated the book to his wife Faith, his lifelong cheerleader. For his special contributions to Oregon sports, we welcome Dr. Bob Gill into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Congratulations. Have a seat, please. Well, Bob, you look at all the hard work and hours you put in for this great sport of football, all the wonderful athletes you've been around, that you've documented. Here you are sitting in this chair, inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. What does this moment mean for you?
You don't mind if I read it?
This is your night.
Okay, it's pretty special, but at this time of my life, words can't explain what it means to me. I gained an appreciation for the award for a former inductee. In 1991, I remembered the induction of Joe LaPrinzi, a 60-year Mac Club physical fitness employee. When LaPrinzi accepted the honor for his contribution to sports from writer George Passero, I was captured by his genuine appreciation of the award. The next day, I delivered a framed picture of to his Southeast Portland home as an instant gratification memory. Joe LaPrinzi hung it proudly in his house, in his office for the next 16 years.
You know, it's really great to just see the relationships you have. I think prior to coming in here for dinner and we were outside in the library, just all the people that have had a chance to connect with you. And one of the people that you really lit up about was Mel Renfro. And tell me just a little bit more about what he means to you.
That wasn't on this question.
They didn't give you the scouting report?
No.
Well, it looks like you've got a couple more wonderful comments there. Why don't you keep reading?
Well, my question was, Bob, who saved football at Portland State in 1975?
Bob,
The
who
answer,
saved football at Portland State in 1975?
the answer, I'm very familiar with Darrell Mouse Davis, coaching move to college. The young coach used the run and shoot offense for 11 seasons at 3 different high schools before he won a state championship at Hillsborough. In 1973, Mouse drew the attention of the struggling Portland State program. He assisted Coach Ron Stratton for a year before they made Mouse a conditional head coach. President John Blumel had a bare budget plan for one more season. Fortunately, Mouse recruited a Hawaii transfer student in the college cafeteria by the name of June Jones, a quarterback with eligibility to lead his Viking fortunes. And what a player he found. In just 2 seasons, Jones' All-American play gathered 5,590 yards of offense. It saved Portland State football and Mouse Davis's start in college. Fortunately for Portland State and for Mouse, a freshman quarterback from Lake Oswego enrolled by the name of Neil Lomax.
Now, Mr. Bob Gill, as I look through my first 15, as I get this going here, I have a play coming up that asks, as an authority on Oregon football coaches, who are the great ones? Is that in your scouting report?
Yes. The answer. The person that's here tonight, and his name is Ed Rutschman. He coached winning football at Linfield College for 24 seasons between 1968 and 1991. Ed's teams won 78% of their games with 3 NAIA national championships. In 1998, Ed was inducted into the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame. Ed's influence on his team was significant. He never cut a player. Nearly 100 became coaches themselves. A young Mike Riley, who coached for Ed for 6 seasons, called him, quote, the finest teacher of football technique I've ever been around.
Those are some great stories right there. We've done a great job of controlling the clock here.
Yeah.
So we only have time for one more play, and for that, we need to bring up a fantastic quarterback here to help us out. So at this time, from the induction class of 1993, would the great quarterback Neil Lomax come up to the podium, please?
Brother. Jordan.
Thank you. First of all, I want to congratulate all the inductees of 2019. Molly, and I think Ray's here, and Mark, and Kenny Moore, and the 75 Timbers. Did Keenan Lowe make it in yet? Is Keenan here? I also want to. He's still. That's a long drive from Park Rose, I guess. I also want to thank, as a fellow high school coach, I'm a big fan in what Keenan Lowe is doing at Park Rose High School. So congratulate him. And Bob, you know, before I get to you, you are an amazing behind-the-scenes guy. Doesn't need any credit. You don't want the credit, but a couple things need to be told because I met you, I think, in 1978 when Mel Fox hired me as a security guard here at the Mac Club. We broke all those NCAA regulations back in those days, too. Mouse got me that job. Good job, Mouse. Met you, Bob, playing handball, and you're still playing handball today, and because of that, you know, got to know you, and besides just my collegiate career, but my professional career, Bob basically was point man on getting myself, Ad, Tommy Profto into the College Hall of Fame. It wasn't for his efforts. The people back east in the Midwest, the Central Park, can care less about football on the West Coast. But Bob Gill stepped up in valiant efforts, might add, myself and Tom. So for that, I thank you very much. The Shrine Game. The Shrine Game's been going on for many, many decades. And it was going to die in 1998, 1999. And Bob Gill, again, stepped up to make sure something important in Oregon sports would stay true, would be historical, would have tradition. Because of Bob and his efforts, meeting some other individuals in our state, talking to the coaches, because the coaches didn't want to be involved, the players didn't want to play. Because of Bob's efforts, resurrected it. We went to a sponsor, Les Schwab, and now the Oregon Bowl Shrine Game became the Les Schwab Bowl, and it's still going today in 2019. That's all because of Bob Gill. I win with this. I know he's a man of faith, and his wife is faith, and we lost her a few years ago, and I know she's smiling up above. And I know she's your cheerleader. She was your life partner, but she was smiling. And so is God. God is smiling on you, and he's saying these words. He's saying, well done, good and faithful servant. And for that, we applaud you, Bob Gill. And for that, Dr. Gill, it's now time. I'm going to read exactly what you wrote here, okay? So don't mess it up. It's now time for all the hard work, the countless hours, this is my writing, it's not his, that you put behind the scenes. And a lot of people like to be behind the scenes. And what you have conquered, and you continue the battle on a daily basis. For these many years that you have devoted yourself, your passion, your purpose, your entire life to the state of Oregon and its athletes and its sport, we thank you and we welcome you into the 2019 Hall of Fame. Dr. Bob Gill.
Well, Neil, why don't you grab that plate for Dr. Bob Gill for your unending efforts to further sports in this state. As a special contributor to sports, we welcome you into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations. One more time for Dr. Bob Gill. And a hat. And a hat. And thank you, Neil. Very kind words right there. Our next inductees go in together. That's the way the Orange Express played so well together.
The time was right. You know the years, 1976 and 77, the birth of Rip City. The state of Oregon was crazy for basketball. The champion Trailblazers, the Kamikaze Kids, and some of the best years of high school basketball in history. In the center of it all was Grant High School and their floor leader, Mark Radford. The Portland native was a household name, playing for Tom Jones. The Generals' record was 49-6 over Mark's junior and senior seasons, both years losing to eventual state champion North Eugene, once in the semis, then again in the 1977 final. Radford was named All-Tournament those 2 years and All-State in 1977, along with future Oregon State backcourt mate Ray Bloom. Ralph Miller knew he had something brewing when he brought in Radford and Bloom with his large freshman group in the fall of 1977. This was the genesis of the legendary Orange Express. Mark was an immediate impact player, averaging 30 minutes per game, scoring in double figures all 4 of his collegiate seasons. And just like his fellow guard Bloom, Mark shot over 50% from the field for his career. It all came together in the 2 magical seasons of 1980 and 81. The Beavers won back-to-back Pac-10 titles and sat on top of the college hoop world. Radford ran the offense the way Miller intended, passes never hitting the ground, everyone a threat to score. Mark was named All Pac-10 in 1981, averaging 13 points per game and grabbing a career-high 61 total steals. Radford is on the Oregon State career top 10 list for scoring, field goals made, assists, and steals. Mark's basketball talent stayed in the Northwest for the duration of his career. He was selected in the third round of the 1981 draft by the Seattle Supersonics and played in 97 NBA games over 2 seasons. After basketball, Mark has enjoyed a long and successful real estate career, raised a family, and still has some moves on the hardwood. So, how about a big guard who shoots 50%, plays great defense, and long minutes? Let's sign him up. Ray Bloom checked off all those boxes as a key member of the Orange Express. Bloom was already a hometown hero at Parkrose High School. He led the 1977 version of the Broncos to a 25-1 record and a third-place finish of a state tournament, losing only to North Eugene. Bloom was named first-team All-Tournament and All-State. At Oregon State, Bloom was an immediate contributor as a freshman, averaging 16 minutes per game off the bench, shooting an impressive 52% from the field. His sophomore year saw Bloom take over a spot on the starting lineup, and his 13 points per game and over 50 steals helped the Beavs advance to the NIT. In his final 2 seasons, Bloom was a key figure on both ends of the court, scoring in double figures, shooting over 50% and averaging 3 assists and nearly 2 steals per game. He was also a transcendent teammate, sharing the ball with Mark Radford, veteran big man Steve Johnson, and newcomers Lester Connor and Charlie Sitton. He was invited to try out for the 1980 Olympic team following his junior year. Following a 2-year professional career, Ray settled in Portland, where he remained a force in AAU basketball. He has been honored with inclusion into the OSU Hall of Fame and the Pac-12 Basketball Hall of Honor. We welcome Mark Radford and Ray Bloom to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, go ahead and grab one of those chairs right there, Ray. Congratulations. Good to see you, Mark. Go ahead.
The trick questions now.
Gentlemen, Pac-10 champions, that means you beat everybody in the conference. You've also clearly beaten Father Time. My goodness, I mean, can you bottle up whatever it is, and can I get some of that later on in life? I mean, not even taking the stairs up here. It's fantastic. But I want to know, first of all, from both of you, how close were you in high school, and what did it mean to be Oregon high school players and get a chance to play at Oregon State?
We weren't that close in high school. I didn't know Mark. I knew who he was, but we never talked. To play at Oregon State with him was a great experience.
Yeah, he lived in the suburbs, and I was in the city. And we just never did cross paths, unfortunately. But obviously, we connected once we got to Oregon State. We had a lot of commonality, and our upbringing was similar, and so we could appreciate each other.
Yeah. And tell me about your relationship at Oregon State then. What was it like just being able to be a part of such rich history and rich tradition at Oregon State for each one of you, your time there? What do you take away the most from that experience?
Well, I'd say the friendship. We lived together for a couple years. We did everything together. It was a great experience, and the journey that we took together was awesome.
Yeah, I think most people underestimated us, and I think we brought that to our playing. We had a sort of chip on our shoulder. People didn't expect us necessarily perform at a high level, and I think we kind of went there with the mindset to start something special. And I think, obviously it came to fruition, but it was basically denying the people who thought we wouldn't become anything, and especially since we were both. He was a center in high school, and I was a forward, so they did not expect us to be able to play at that level at the guard position.
Sure. And Ray, you had a successful career at Parkrose underneath Coach Terry Woods. What was the biggest change for you then going and playing underneath Ralph Miller?
Oh, that's a good question. I got Terry Woods sitting with me, and I got Jimmy Anderson sitting with me. Going from Terry taught me how to play the full basketball, defense, offense, help out, all that. And when I went to Oregon State, Jimmy helped get me there. But Playing under Ralph, it was a little different. He was a little stronger, tougher, meaner. and I had a sense of that from my high school coach, but it was now a new, tougher guy. And so once I figured him out, I was okay.
And Mark, Ralph Miller, what was that experience like for you? And when you look at his style of play, how would that translate to today's college basketball scene?
Well, I think it would. I think it would with the shot clock, and unfortunately, we didn't have the shot clock. We didn't have the three-point play, but I think Ray adapted well. I mean, I think he had his coach was very disciplined. My high school coach was a little freer flowing. I grew up in the city. It was more of a street game, and so I had to go there and learn a different style and a different way to play the game, which I appreciated. I felt like the street ball will only get you so far, and I had to learn some more of the technical aspects of the game. So it was a pleasure to learn it, and still to this day, I think that his style of play applies at any level, and so I look forward to somebody carrying that torch of Ralph Miller.
And elaborate on that a little bit. The Orange Express, why was that group so successful? What was it about that style of play that you felt really helped elevate you guys?
Well, me personally, I mean, it was constant, you know, we're firm believers that constant pressure on defense, as you see in the video, constant pressure on offense, it's just, and then unfortunately, without the shot clock, we had games, I don't know if any of you recall, the Stanford game with 18-12, so, and it didn't always apply, but we could slow the game down, we could speed the game up, and so we were able to adapt, and his system with Jimmy Anderson was incredibly simple, and I think he made the game so simple in that we could master it because it wasn't overcomplicated. Ray?
I agree exactly what he said, but we also, off the court, we would get together with 15 guys and go play, all 15 scholarship players. We'd go play 3 or 4 nights a week, and we got to play with other people than just the starters. Mark and I would play with other guys. And so when we got to practice time, we were already in sync with each other.
And tell me more about the culture of that team, because when you get a successful team like that wins a couple of conference titles, 26 straight wins, what was it like off the court? I mean, you mentioned you guys go and play together, but were there a lot of friendships that were built that lasted for years afterwards? Or what was, as coaches like to use that term, chemistry of that team like?
Well, we all live, for the most part, still in Portland, and it's a great place to live. We all stayed close, and we still live here, and I think that's a testament to our team. You know, despite our successes and our failures, we've stayed together and been in touch.
Yeah, we got Charlie sitting in the stands out here, and about every 2 years, he gets together and invites all of us over to his place. And I think a couple of years ago we had like 15 or 16 of the players there, and then this year we had about 12 of them. So still keeping in touch.
Yeah, that's an impressive number of guys that still get together, and you obviously have great memories back when you guys had that terrific run. You look at your transitions to the NBA. What was different about going from college to the NBA in each of your individual experiences?
In mine, they were looking for somebody that had more offense. You know, I played with a team concept. When you get into the NBA, I feel that they wanted somebody to create for themselves. That's why I didn't stay very long.
Yeah, the NBA is a tricky one, and it's hard to evaluate. You know, we did sacrifice a lot individually for the success of the team, and I think part of that was our lack of success in playoffs, and it didn't necessarily give us the foothold in the NBA that, as far as reputation, because we didn't advance far enough in the playoffs. So I think it hurt us collectively. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and I felt like we were capable, talent-wise and offensively. He's kind of putting himself down, but he was more than capable. But sometimes if you don't come there in that period of the NBA with that reputation coming out of the college ranks, it can hurt you.
Last question real quick, that you guys said you were roommates in college. Any good roommate stories at all, or anything that you can share here?
Not today.
That'll be at the after.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah.
Or no, that's probably at the barbecue only, the get-together right there. Well, at this time, from the class of 1995, look to the screens for current inductee and your former teammate, center Steve Johnson.
Hey, everyone. Sorry I couldn't make it to the Mac Club tonight. I've been there before for other induction ceremonies, and I know what a special time it is for everyone, an opportunity to meet and greet old friends. I was excited and honored back in 1995 when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, if I'm doing my math correctly, that was 24 years ago, which officially puts me into the geezer classification. Mark and Ray, now it's your turn. As I reflect back on our time together at Oregon State as members of the Orange Express, anybody that knows anything about basketball knows that you two, along with Lester, were what really made our team go. The nonstop pressure you guys put on the other team night after night, while I hung back under the bucket as the protector and watched it all. On the offensive end, I always gave us a chance to score for half the game before I got in foul trouble. But once again, you two always stepped up, kept that nonstop pressure on the teams, and then with ball movement and timely outside shooting, we pulled many a game out. 2 games come to mind. The first one, Mark, you'll remember this one. We're playing Stanford, #1 in the nation, and they decide they're going to hold the ball on us. So once we got up, Ralph said, fine, I'm going to hold the ball too. So it ended up being final score 16-8. In one of the breakout games of your career, you were the leading scorer with 8 points. And Ray, as an undersized center coming out of Park Rose High School, you left your mark on the court, not on the offensive end, but on the defensive side. Your nonstop hustle was an inspiration for a lot of us. We're playing Washington, and we're down the whole game. But with 7 seconds to go, Charlie Hustle ties up the ball and forces a jump ball, which we won. We went into overtime, and we ended up winning. Well, guys, now's the time. Mark and Ray, for all you've done throughout your sports career, it is my honor, Mark Radford and Ray Bloom, to welcome you both into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Superior talents in basketball, we welcome you into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. Mark, here you go. Ray, here you go. Why don't you guys stand together for a picture here? Here's this for you. Here's this for you. Congratulations once again, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Yep. As the Duck, you usually don't want to find yourself in between 2 Oregon State Beavers like that. So, gentlemen, thank you for being so kind here. Our team inductee in this year's class will forever be known for putting Portland on the world map of soccer.
Soccer is the game. We're the Portland Timbers, and winning is our aim. So
Soccer City, USA was born right here. In the summer of 1975, the very first edition of the Portland Timbers NASL Club captured the attention of the Rose City with a collection of unknown names that kindled a special passion with their first-year playoff run. The expansion team rode a roller coaster of overtime thrillers all the way to the Soccer Bowl championship game. The first roster had a distinct English accent. Manager Vic Crow was a Welshman who had played and coached at Aston Villa. He brought along a large group from the Midlands. The first roster featured 10 Brits, a Scotsman, and another Welshman. The new team started slow. 3 matches, 2 losses, only 2 total goals scored. But the spark was struck during a 3-game homestand at the end of May. 2 overtime victories brought the fans out to Civic Stadium, and the crowd swelled to over 10,000 for the first time. The Timbers could not lose at home. They won 10 straight home matches during the regular season. The Timbers would not lose in overtime, 5-1 during the regular season. And one of those unknown names became a goal-scoring machine. Peter Whiff, a lower division player from Liverpool, would lead the team in scoring with 18 goals, using his height and skill in the air to great advantage. The Timbers ended their first season with the most points on the table and a fan base wanting more. Extra seating had to be brought into Civic, and 2 crowds of over 30,000 watched the Timbers win 1-goal nail-biters against Seattle and St. Louis. The great adventure ended with a 2-0 loss to Tampa Bay, also an expansion team, at Soccer Bowl 75 in San Jose. Peter Whiff left Portland after just 1 season and would enjoy a lengthy career in England, scoring 74 goals for Aston Villa and collecting 11 caps playing for his home country. Many of his teammates would remain in the Rose City even after their playing days and form the nucleus of the coaching and mentoring of young players that make Soccer City, USA what it is today.
So let's give all of the boys a cheer, for the Portland Timbers will be here.
We welcome the 1975 Portland Timbers to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Willie, congratulations. Thank you for joining us. Grab a seat. And Mick, congratulations. Good to see you. Have a seat here. The 1975 Portland Timbers, an expansion team, first time playing together. What was the glue, or what kind of kept this whole team together and on the same page that brought everybody together, in your guys' opinion?
Most of us, as you've mentioned in the intro there, came from England. Came from the same sort of West Midlands industrial area. We played for different clubs, 3 particular clubs. The coach was familiar with all the players, so even though we were from different clubs, we knew each other, we played against each other. So when we arrived, we had about 10 days, I think, to prepare for the first game. And it started to gel, and then Willie came a bit later and gave us some energy on the opposite wing, etc. So by the time he'd arrived, we knew we had something special, and it was a team-first mentality. No stars, no posers, as we would say. You just had to play for the team.
And Willie, when you arrived, did you get that sense that this team, really, for an expansion team, seemed to have some established chemistry already?
Yeah, you know, I came late. I missed the first 3 games. I remember flying in a Wednesday night, got Thursday off to get over my flight. Big Crow came Thursday night. The coach said, hey, can you play Saturday? Yeah, you bet. So, you know, the first time I met the guys, we flew out to Vancouver, and we played in Vancouver and won, and I got to meet the guys then. But, you know, we all got to live in the same apartment complex. So, you know, we'd only practice a couple of hours a day. Noon you were finished, you get some lunch, and then we'd all go home and sit round the pool, have a few beers. And,
just a few, right?
Just a few. Yeah. Thank God for Blitz. And, you know, we just really, we gelled off the field. I mean, I think sports teams gel off the field faster than on the field.
What was it like playing for the city of Portland and the fan support that you received as, you know, we heard the title Soccer City. What was it like on the field and the support you guys were getting from the community here?
it grew from the start. I think there was about 8,000 or 9,000 there that first game, and by the end of the season there was 33. So each successive home game there'd be 3,000 or 4,000 more people. Everybody came out to see this weird foreign sport of soccer. Lots of people were seeing it for the first time. Lots of families attended the game together. The tickets were pretty inexpensive, so they were experiencing the sport for the first time. We were experiencing the city, and what we found was a wonderfully friendly group of fans and city and state.
Well, you know, I think it was that there were these little guys, because we were all little, you know, compared to American sport, but we all walked around with little shorts on, with these funny accents, and we would say hi to everybody. I mean, we were so friendly because, you know, we were only here for like 10 weeks, and, you know, you'd finish practice at noon, so what the hell am I going to do for the rest of the day? So you'd go out, and people would invite you out for dinner, for barbecues, and it was like, yay, great, I'll do that, that's free, I'll do that. So, you know, it was just a big party. It was a 10-week party, and we played some soccer along the way.
Well, in 1975, you had the league's best record. Why were you guys so successful that season when you look at the fact that he was an expansion team and it's a 10-week party with a little bit of soccer mixed in there, but you get it done when you guys are on the pitch?
Well, you know, Vic Crow, I'd played for him before, and Vic Crow liked to play a 4-3-3. I hope some of you are soccer fans, so you know what I'm talking about. And, you know, he put that team together to play that system. And part of his system was a big guy up front, which was Peter Wyth, who knocked in 18 goals, and he was a monster. He was tough, he's from Liverpool, and he was just a grinder, and you couldn't frighten him to save your life. And he played me and a guy called Jimmy Kelly wide, because we give him some width, and we were good at crossing the ball. But I think the key for me was a guy called Brian Godfrey, who was a Welshman, never liked the Welsh. But he was an old pro, he was as tough as nails, and boy, you could not slack on the field, because he'd be in your face, and he was your teammate, he was the captain, and boy, he made you work harder than you'd ever worked in your life, because he demanded it. And, you know, he pulled everything together, and if anybody was messing you around on the field, he'd be there in their face, defending you. He was just a great captain, and I think he had a big part of what we were about.
Same thing. Willie wouldn't say it, but Willie and Jimmy Kelly were probably the two best wing players in the league. Big Peter in the middle was almost unbeatable in the air. So the rest of us, about 8 of us, and the goalkeeper, we knew our jobs. Ours was to get the ball, give it to these guys, let them do the magic, and that was our role, and I guess we did it okay.
Now, some of you stayed in Portland after you got done with your 10-week party with a little soccer mixed in there. And you look at the state of Portland Timbers and Soccer City right now in Portland. How do you reflect on just the fervor that is here right now and the fan support and what you guys essentially started with the sport of soccer in Portland? Do you ever think about that or reflect upon that, about how much it's grown?
Yeah, you know, all the time. I mean, you know, I think the 75 team was like you build a house, you got to have a really good foundation. We were the foundation for the Timbers. And, you know, we were successful, which was really a key to that. And we got the city, the state really interested in who we were, what the hell is that game? And it grew from there. And, you know, we had some ups and downs in that NASL season. But, you know, there's a fever here for it. And, you know, thank God to Mary Paulson, if he's here, thank you. But, you know, he's did a great job of putting this franchise MLS together, which is, you know, if you haven't got a good league, you ain't got a good team. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to play somewhere. And he's done a great job. So he's kept the ball rolling.
I'd have to give credit as well to the owners that brought us to town, particularly John Gilbertson, former past president who's deceased, and Don Paul, who was the general manager of NFL fame. And to our coach, Vic Crow, and his assistant, Leo, they gave us a great foundation. And one of the other investors from the early days, Don Pollock, is with us this evening. So he's seen this since 75 all the way through here. So a great base of local investors who were very interested in the team. They welcomed us on board, players that wanted to play as a team, and amongst the best fans in the world, helped us to get through to the Soccer Bowl that year and to establish the sport, or to help establish this. What we didn't do it alone. Lots have been done before we got here, but we certainly helped it along the way.
Well, it's great to see the foundation that you guys laid, and obviously the support that the Timbers have now would not be what it is without your efforts. But there's also a couple members in the audience. You mentioned the former owner, Don Palak, but how about Tony Betts, Nick Nicholas? Can you guys raise your hand? Are you guys here tonight as well, too? Raise your hands. Give them a round of applause, all three of them. Now, we have a special video message for you as well, too. Attention to the screens for a message from the 2002 U.S. Soccer Athlete of the Year and inductee in this Hall of Fame and the National Soccer Hall of Fame, Shannon McMillan.
Hey everyone, I hope you're all enjoying your night tonight at the Mac Club. My apologies for not being able to be there with you all, especially as we take a moment to honor the 1975 Portland Timbers team. As an expansion team making it all the way to the championship game, you took the entire city of Portland on an incredible journey. But most importantly, you ignited a passion and love for the game of soccer for everybody. A passion and love of the game that I feel so blessed to have personally been a part of when the great Clive Charles reached out to me and had me come play for the University of Portland. My 4 years representing Portland were some of the highlights of my career that I keep near and dear to my heart. You guys set the foundation for making Portland the one and only true Soccer City, USA. Well now guys, this time has come. To all of the players of the 1975 Portland Timbers team, for all you accomplished on the field and all you've given to the city of Portland during your athletic careers, it is my esteemed honor to welcome you all into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Could we ask one of our teammates, the other two, to come up?
Yes, absolutely. Your mic is on. Let's get the team up here as well, too, for a group picture with the plate. Now, who would like the hardware here?
We'll give that to Nick.
Give that to Nick, okay. Then, Willie, can I trust you with the important task of the hats as well? And I think you need one more as well, too. There you go. There you go, Nick. Your 1975 Portland Timbers. Thank you, gentlemen. Wonderful stories. It's always great to see where the foundation of things get built. And this 75 Timbers team on their 10-week vacation with a little soccer mixed in there. I like that right there. And just a few gentlemen's beverage by the pool after that noon practice gets over here. Well, let's move on to our final inductee, an early rock in the foundation of running. Our final inductee is a fearless pioneer. He championed his sport in so many ways.
Kenny Moore has been one of the great storytellers of American sport for decades. As an athlete, he found himself right in the middle of some of the great stories while putting his own stamp on running and track and field greatness. He was known as Ken Moore when he graduated North Eugene High School and arrived at the University of Oregon. In the early 60s, he would letter 3 years each in track and cross country. Always a versatile distance runner, Ken was a 3-time All-American on the track in the 3-mile, 5,000 meters, and the steeplechase. Moore was a 1963 cross-country All-American and was part of back-to-back teams that finished second in the nation. Ken's partnership with legendary Oregon track coach Bill Bowerman extended after his time as a Duck. Bowerman had already been making shoes for his athletes for a decade when Moore suffered a foot injury in 1965. Bowerman relentlessly designed and refined a shoe to keep Moore injury-free. Moore, in turn, was the ultimate product tester, giving extensive feedback. This was the prototype for the famous Nike Cortez training shoe. As a post-collegiate racer, he flexed his muscle at greater distances, winning the 1967 U.S. Cross Country Championship and dominating the demanding Beta Breakers road race in San Francisco. Ken won the 12K Monster Run 6 consecutive years, from 1968 to 1973. Advancing to the marathon distance, Moore finished as high as second at the World Championships, setting a personal best of 2 hours, 11 minutes, 36 seconds. Moore competed on the biggest stage of all twice. He finished 14th in the marathon at the Mexico City Olympics, then qualified again in 1972, finishing dead even in the trials with his training partner, Frank Shorter. Shorter would take the gold and the glory on the final day of the Munich Games in the shadow of the terrorist attacks. Moore just missed the podium, finishing fourth. These experiences and these times provided extensive material for the writer who would become known as Kenny Moore. In 25 years at Sports Illustrated, Moore told the big stories, championed the protection of amateur athletes, and co-wrote the definitive biography of the enigmatic Steve Prefontaine that inspired the film Without Limits. His activism helped win the freedom of imprisoned Ethiopian marathon champion Mamo Wolde. Moore has also written a biography of his coach, Bill Bowerman. Always relentless in his pursuits, we welcome Kenny Moore to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Kenny, well, thank you so much for being here. I want to go back to the 1960s, and what were the general thoughts about running and fitness in the 1960s?
Well, running and fitness was absolutely unappreciated until Bill Bowerman did jogging and wrote the jogging book, and that was one of the reasons why. And I happily got involved just at that time. And Frank Shorter won the marathon in '72, and that exploded running at that time. So I was just a lucky participant and observer at the same time.
You mentioned Bill Bowerman. You spent plenty of time with him. What's your favorite Bill Bowerman story when you reflect on him?
That's tough. Yeah, I wrote a whole book about him. And the story that had the most effect on me, the lesson that had the most effect on me, was him getting me to stop doing all my hard runs and get me to start doing rest days. He forced me, was going to kick me off the team if I didn't do my rest days. And 3 weeks later, I did my rest days, did my normal workouts, and improved by 28 seconds in the 2 mile. And that was a lesson not just about running and my own physiology, but how eccentricity is something never to be ignored.
When you look at your career, and the marathon is what really stands out to a lot of folks, how has marathon training changed today when you compare it to marathon training back in the 60s and 70s?
Very little, very little. It's always getting just the right amount of work, just the right amount of different kinds of workouts. I did 30, 35-mile runs. Bill didn't mind that because I was getting really strong if I took my easy days. And so I love to see some of the contemporary guys, the best guys now, try that themselves. I think there's still some chance to get real measured improvement if you do once every 10 days or so, the 30 to 35 miles that I did, because I was so successful given my own eccentricity.
In the 70s and 80s, it seemed like the sports world was really affected by global politics. Do you think politics still play a role in affecting sport nowadays?
It's politics always. It's always the same. We've got the World Championships coming up. Boy, was that ever not political. They bought their way, they bribed their way, they had all kinds of, the IAAF was so mistaken in many different ways. And that's just speaking as a hard-ass reporter.
Well, you spent 25 years with Sports Illustrated. What got you into writing about track and field? Was it something you were always interested in, or what inspired you?
Well, I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to basically do justice to the people around me, wonderful people, athletes, Bowerman, some. Over the course of my career, I know I especially did and feel really good about doing justice to Tommy Smith and John Carlos, to a lot of runners who weren't understood at that time for a lot of reasons. I traveled to Ethiopia, and I was pretty much the first one to realize that Mamo Wolde, who had won the Mexico City Marathon, and which I had finished 14th, he was in prison because this horrible derg was the word there in Ethiopia. And so I happen to have this amazing connection with him because we bumped into each other the last 11 miles of the Munich Marathon. And so that allowed me to basically know that we had to deal with that. A lot of Olympians, when I got that story out in Sports Illustrated, a lot of Olympians really understood, but they still didn't get him out and almost until he died years and years later. It's rugged out there.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people that had a chance to interact with you in the library. Everyone's really curious about the Nike Air Cortez and your relationship with Bowerman and development of that. What does it mean to play such a big role in that and testing out that shoe?
Well, it was fantastic, and it meant a bunch of things. One, the story was, and if you'll forgive me, I'll go injury by injury. I got spiked by my teammate running on 800 meters in 1965. Bill Bowerman supervised me getting half a dozen stitches in that. And that meant I couldn't really do much except in the pool for a couple of weeks. But I came back and won the 3 mile, won the steeplechase in the pack 8 or 10 meet at that in Pullman. And on my way back, Bill sat down with me and he said, all right, now William, what are you going to do tomorrow? And I said, I yearn for a nice long run like normal Sundays. And so he said, okay, but you've hammered yourself in this double, and you've also just coming back from nothing. So take 10 miles, only 10 miles, that's your limit. So I run my 10 miles out on Coburg Road. I get 10.25 miles at the Shell station, and I got this funny pain in my metatarsal. I had to call my mother to get home, and I never called her. So and definitely it was you can see the little middle metatarsal, definitely a stress fracture. So I went into Bowerman and said, all right, you will place before me the shoes that you wore. and they were a Nike Tiger, not Nike, this was Tiger before Tiger. So we put him in front of him, and he had two things wrong with him. The outside wore out like cardboard, and the inside we had these little cookies for front and back, ball and heel, but in the middle there was absolutely no R support. So Barman in the 6 weeks that until I could run again.
I'm going to hand you the baton here.
Barman, in the 6 weeks before I could run again, he designed a shoe that basically solved all the problems. One holding cushioning, but especially strong, supportive in the middle, and arch support. So we I did good miles on doing all the different, maybe 3 or 4 models that I would try, and he'd see how they were working, and then they would be sent to the factory. And ultimately that became the shoe that was the Cortez. Cortez was the first shoe for Nike that basically solved the problem of how to run on the roads 4 years before Adidas would admit that was how you should run that shoe. So that basic time there, that Nike really was benefited financially. So I come before you here, where
Well, let's hear from a man that would be very familiar with the Eric Cortez. And now from the Hall of Fame class of 2000, a special video message from Phil Knight.
It is my high honor and distinct privilege to welcome Kenny Moore to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. I think every profession has some kind of Hall of Fame. Obviously, all the sports have a Hall of Fame, but also business has a Hall of Fame, and I'd assume there's a Science Hall of Fame, and there's certainly an Inventor's Hall of Fame. So I think it's probably everybody's aspiration, no matter their field, to be known as a Hall of Famer. But for somebody from Oregon, being inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is extra special. Simply put, for us from Oregon, Oregon is home. And Kenny Moore tonight is being inducted into the Hall of Fame from his home. I know that Brady Breeze is fighting for a starting position at the University of Oregon. And he was at the Hall of Fame induction the night that I and his uncle Chad Cota got inducted. I think he was probably about 4 years old. And he carried that picture around with him all through his youth, and now that he's older, he carries it on his telephone. And he hasn't told me why he carries it, but 2 or 3 times I've seen him in the last year, he's had it with him. And I gotta believe it's an inspiration to him to achieve all he can achieve. The one thing that surprised me when they asked me to welcome Kenny Moore to the Hall of Fame was that he wasn't in it already. I mean, after all, he was 4th in the Olympic Games in 1972, the same place that Steve Prefontaine finished in a different race. And he's been in the Hall of Fame forever, and should have been. And Kenny should have been too. Kenny not only was 4th in the Olympic Games, he was also, I think, the leading point getter, or one of the leading point getters in Oregon's 1966 NCAA championship team. So he clearly belonged there as a runner, and he's belonged there for a long time. But more than that, they also have basically a contributor section in the Hall of Fame, which is the section I got in under. And Kenny Moore deserves to be in there twice. He deserves to be in there for his writing, which for over 20 years, he was the leading running and track and field writer for Sports Illustrated. He's probably the most significant running writer of the last 50 years. So he deserves to be there for that. And what is not as well known is that he worked tirelessly to free Mamo Wald, the bronze medalist in the Olympic Games, from prison under the Ethiopian government, which was very coercive, and he was improperly imprisoned. And Kenny Moore, as much or more than anybody, finally got Mamo Wald freed so that he could live in freedom for the last year of his life. So 3 different ways he should be there. So it's long overdue, but congratulations and welcome to the 2019 Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, Kenneth C. Moore.
Kenny Moore, for your superior talents in everything involving the sport of running, we now welcome you to the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. Yeah. The hat goes along very well with that. Give it up one more time for Kenny Moore. Thank you so much, Kenny. Well, it's been a wonderful evening, and so ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, the class of 2019, now forever inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. Is an outstanding group of Oregon's finest athletes. They are now bringing their proud heritage into the hall. So let's give one more round of applause for our inductees tonight and all of our inductees in attendance as well, too, that make up the hall. One more thing, though, it's been one memorable evening again. We want to give a big thank you to our sponsors, the Portland Trail Blazers, Standard TV and Appliance, our media partner, KGW-TV, the Oregonian Media Group, Sunset Athletic Club, Sport Oregon, and the Oregon Center for Sports Recreation. For myself, our wonderful crew behind the scenes, and the MAC Club, thank you again for joining us. Drive home safely. Have a wonderful night.